Okay, I'm hoping here. I am hopeful that I am actually. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just reading through the comments, some of which are, yeah. By the way, if you see Tori and Don arguing, don't worry, that's perfectly normal. Right, can someone tell me that you can see me and you can hear me? Because you all seem to have gone silent in chat the second I actually managed to go live. There you go. Right. People can see me, I think. You'll have to excuse me tucked up in my blanket. I'm still not 100%. And this my mum made me ages ago, so whenever I don't feel well, tuck up in things. So guys, lots to catch up on actually, because obviously it's been over a week since I've streamed on YouTube. Yeah, it's just started. Yeah, me, technology, it's one of those things. Good news, Don. You know those things we're discussing? The first one starting in Kent. Tori lives near Kent. There's good news for Don. And me instantly losing someone for the Kent section. I'll tell you guys all about that in a bit. So, lots has happened since then. We've had a few questions on the Facebook page, but I wanted to go over a little bit about what happened at Aqua. So Aqua's the trade show. And I go partly to see like the new products, the stuff that really makes me go, ooh, that's going to change fish keeping. Or, ooh, that's going to make something so much easier. So, perfectly normal. You go along there. There wasn't anything that made me go, wow, that's a game changer. There were quite a lot of improvements. Just let me address a particular comment from Tori. You missed a lot of Aqua. Yes, you did. You were there. Who fell over on the NT Lab stand? I have video evidence of you at Aqua. Yeah, probably. It's probably going to be delayed, Tommy. It's bloody awful. So the computer's handling everything except YouTube streaming. There's something up with YouTube streaming. It's really bad. Yeah, people haven't seen me in person yet. I talk like this, the words come out of my mouth a little bit behind what I'm actually saying. Anyway, guys, so there wasn't anything that really stood out. What was really clear is a lot of companies were nervous about Brexit. A lot of companies were nervous. They were a lot more willing to work with us this time round. So 2 years ago, so Aqua's every 2 years. 2 years ago, there was very much, you are online only, you are evil. This year, from a lot of companies, there was a lot of, we know you're online only, but we know you're actually trying to support the hobby and develop the hobby more. Talk to us. Don't think we got any, oh yeah, we got one at 100% yes. But we got a lot of, we can have a conversation as well. So yeah, I think, so Brexit. I was meant to have a meeting today about the CITES legislation and Brexit. Information I can pass on to you guys. To be honest, I was so ill I couldn't put up with a phone call. So that'll be on Friday. So I'll pass it on Saturday. Saturday is, CITES is going to be an absolute nightmare for us. So CITES is just about fish that are seen as being extinct or endangered in the wild. It's not your general fish. But a lot of us do keep fish that are endangered or struggling in the wild. Some of us even keep fish that are extinct in the wild. Now imagine you have a CITES fish and you're part of a breeding project in Germany, which a lot of us are. It's not like a wild pie in the sky one, then. I've been involved in various projects. A lot of people have. What you do is when you want new bloodlines, you swap them around. So I might send fish over to Germany. They might send fish back. Might send fish to places in Spain, etc., etc., etc. That's going to end because the licensing amount they're talking, it's sort of like 30 odd quid. I'm not 100% sure whether that's per fish or per consignment. They're saying per fit or per animal, but often you find with fish it's per consignment. I'll find this out on Friday. Seriously, some of the fish I'm talking about are like 50p in the store. I can get 50p for them in the store if I sell them. Normally I don't. They just go into other. So can you imagine importing like 30, 40 fish and having to pay 30 quid a time? That is just for CITES species. I will repeat that one. But fish keeping is keeping a lot of species going in captivity. And we are going to now be cut off from a lot of that. Simple as. A lot of our fish come from places like Ghana, which is Guyana. Now, the thing about Guyana is it's part of France, so they can fly the fish directly into France and then transport them to us. So we do get some more unusual species that way as well. I know that's all gone now. So yeah, I'll find out on Friday what they're going to tell us. I doubt it's going to be anything new. It's definitely not about what's going to happen to general fish. It's just about CITES. But yeah, that in particular is not looking brilliant. I will be honest, I'm not the world's biggest fan of CITES. So I'll give you an example. The African grey parrot, really popular pet, bred in captivity in large numbers in South Africa and then imported to England. It provides a sustainable population in captivity. It provides jobs. It provides pets for people. They are now on the CITES list, so can't be exported. If you want an African grey parrot now, you've got to get one out of the wild. Brilliant. That's such an improvement on the matter. And to be honest, they were a pretty mundane pet before. They were just one of those parrots that lots of people have. I mean, you talk to anyone sort of my age and older, and Gran had an African grey. My Grans definitely did. And now they're going to become, the interesting rare parrot to have, and they're going to capture more of them out the wild. And that's examples of how CITES can just stuff it up beyond belief. So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of CITES, and now we're even more embedded in it. A lot of the species of reptiles and fish I look at are too small to be microchipped. That means you can't have them under CITES legislation. And I think it's been co-opted too much by people who don't care about the pet industry, don't care about the animals. They just care about having a voice and shouting loud about it. And like I say, I'm not the world's biggest CITES fan. I think there should have been radical overhaul. Absolutely should have been. It's sort of like the ASBO for those of you who live in posh areas. Children use ASBOs as badges of honour. So it sort of messed it up from that point of view. CITES is a bit like that. They use it as a way to show something's rare. You should pay £1,000 for this because I've smuggled it out of the wild because it's rare. Is not the way we should be selecting our pets. Sadly, well, I hope none of you are, and I'm pretty confident none of you are. But if you are wanting to make a statement, you haven't really got the ethos that all animals matter, you're going to. You're definitely going to. So it's one of those things. I will find out, like I said, meeting on Friday, so I will relay as much as I possibly can. Friday afternoon, Saturday. I am as in the dark about you guys as about what's going to happen after Brexit. Genuinely are. I haven't got a clue. Neither did anyone else at Aqua. So, like I was saying, there were some nice improved products. As few of you will see me with the pond vac. I like that. I like the fact you can use it on dry. It doesn't have to be constantly wet. Having said that, I then wandered around the corner and there was another pond vac that would have done the job just as well. But it was a third of the price. I know one is better quality. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The issue is, and I'll be honest here, so China doesn't have any copyright law, or has a different copyright and trademarking laws, massively different. So what that means is that they will copy things down to the minor details. And they frequently do. If everyone remembers the rage for stainless steel filters, the absolute cheap rubbishy ones were, just as good as the expensive ones because they were identical. And if you wanted parts, you just called the factory who did the rip-off ones because they were also manufacturing the proper ones. So you've got to know what you're looking at and the parts that you're looking at, but sometimes those cheap ones can be good. And I don't know whether, as a shop, I don't think we'd get, it wouldn't be worth us holding on to vacs that retail at like $250, $300. Yeah, Chinese copyright, they have a right to copy. Whereas I think a lot of shops, me included, will be looking at the £100 ones, retail on the £100 ones, going, you can move them out quicker. And they had some neat little tricks that they'd done to get round not being as expensive, and some of them were a little bit better. So rather than having a filter that you had to disassemble the vac to get the filter out, the bag that you use to sort of catch all your gunk if you want to put the water back straight back in, they had like a little basket. So you just turned it off, emptied the basket, came back. Straight Talking Fish saying about the pianos. Yeah, it really is. Jerboa were the ones that really did it well. They ripped off Laguna, and it was ridiculous. You were getting an identical filter, and trust me, I had broken ones of both versions, and I took them apart and had a look. And despite the fact that I electrocute myself rather frequently, I used to work for the family electrical business, so I do know electrics. Just don't pay any attention to health and safety. That seems to be the issue. So they were identical inside. Just the badge was different. Could you then justify paying $240 versus $70? It was a bit difficult to justify it for identical parts. At the same time, I'm aware there's a business there merrily going out of business because we're all going, I ain't paying $250 for that. I'll take the cheap rip-off version. So yeah, that's where we sort of come down to it. So what was new at Aqua? NT Labs are launching a new test kit. Nothing really changed, just the branding, so the packaging slightly different. So if you now see white packaging, that's the same thing. I would like to know though, Tori, why you didn't just stagger across and visit their stand? Or was it just because you were too busy leaning on the NT Labs stand, groaning? I'll get you. You framed off one of my mods on my big news, so you know. 2 seconds. 2 seconds. I thought, Tori, I thought you didn't like them anymore. So, yeah. Like I said, there wasn't anything that blew my mind. There were things that irritated me quite significantly. There was a lot of stands that had people that weren't... There were a little... Sorry, I'm just reading the comments. There's a little bit of byplay going on there. It's making me laugh. Leaning on the stand. Ladies and gentlemen, at one point she was collapsed over it, groaning. If you asked her a question, she just sort of waved at you. As in, go away, sort of wave. Where was I? Oh, yeah. So, there were lots of stands there that had people who didn't know anything about fish. They were salesmen. They didn't even know anything about the product. And Don knows my address, Tori. He knows where I live. It's fine. Oh, you saying shall you release Don's address? You don't have it, Tori, or you haven't got it off me at least. So there was a lot of salesmen there that didn't know about fish. Some of you may have seen my little short live stream with the parrots. What you didn't see was a member of the team go a little ballistic at the salesman because he was going, they're just playing. They were beating 7 kinds of hell out of each other. One of them was nearly pushed out the water. I didn't see Ecotech there. Right, I apologise. There was a few. Ask Tori. She might have gone and looked. There was a few of the bigger stands, and they were doing that whole ignoring anybody that wasn't clearly a huge company. So they might have been on there. There you go. Tori saw them. See, Tori has a bricks and mortar to fall back on, so she gets actually spoken to. It was even worse than that. Straight Talking Fish. It wasn't so like I was talking to the guy about the parrotfish, and he was like, they're just playing when anybody with half a brain on animals. And when I asked him about products, you think if you're selling something, you should know the product. He didn't know what I was talking about. And there was quite a bit of that. That I did not like. There was quite a few older fish keepers who've been through like they've worked in fish stores and all that lot. There's about 5 or 6, and some of the stuff they were parroting. One of them was telling me that salt was the only treatment you needed for any disease. A couple of people were talking about heat to treat anything. On one occasion, I had to walk off because the guy just wasn't talking to me. He was talking to, well, any bloke who was on the team. Charlie and Tom were there with us, and either of those got spoken to, but I just got ignored. It was... yeah, there was a couple of bitchy comments, and I think one of my bitchy comments came back to bite me. We got some hassle afterwards by someone who was being a pain in the arse, basically. And looking back on it, I think I made a really bitchy comment to him. He was trying to tell me stuff that was absolute bollocks. It wasn't even close to being right. And I got so fed up with him and me trying gently to say, look, I know what I'm talking about. Can you maybe tell me the truth? And he was just ploughing on. And then he started to talk to, I think it was Tom. And I just went literally straight over his head and talked to his boss. I'm not naming them on here, Tori. I will PM you later, I'll tell you. I'll tell you all the gossip later. I dared, not when someone's threatening me with legal action. It's not got a case. He was an idiot. Yeah, us women don't know what we're talking about, so it was very much from a few people. There was a few great people. Brilliant stands. There was some people, I think, who used to be really involved in the community who were stepping back, which was a bit annoying. Not annoying, I can see what they're talking about. You know, the business isn't making as much, so they're just going via wholesalers. So that was a bit disappointing. Overall, it was good. But like I said, there was nothing earth-shattering. Ask Tori with JBL there, I can't remember. Wasn't one I was targeting because they don't work with online only. So in fish keeping, there was a funny conversation a couple of times. So there's a couple of manufacturers who have already said they want us to stock their products in the shop. The problem is manufacturers very, very rarely... Sorry if everyone can hear the noise, my heater's just coming in the background. It's bloody cold in here. There's a couple of manufacturers who said they want to work with us, but the wholesalers have basically gone, no, we don't work with online only, we only work with bricks and mortar stores. Which is a bit frustrating. Now, their argument is that bricks and mortar have higher overheads than the internet. I'm going to pause on that one a little bit, because my warehouse isn't free. I only have flexible warehousing down the road, but it's not free. It costs me to post out, so that cost is passed on to the customer. And I think frequently, especially if you're talking about fish, which I never want to deal with because I like being able to just lock the door of the warehouse and walk home. Think how often it's more expensive to get it online when you add the shipping in, when you're doing it properly. I think when we're talking about people selling in their bedroom, they can't realistically be that much of a threat. If they're selling out their bedroom, they've not got that much space. So unless we're talking about, and then they're going to have to either just carry on selling tiny bits or go out of, 2 seconds. Yeah, it'll go out of business. So I think that's one of the things. Yeah, sorry, I was looking at Tori's comment. Yeah, I've got where you're coming from, Tori. Yeah, there is. Tori's boss has to buy her lunch every day, so that's where she racks up the cost. And I'm not saying it's all sweetness and innocence and all that sort of thing. I do think some online sellers are undercutting shops, undercutting bricks and mortar. But I think that's a personal choice about undercutting, not necessarily because they're online. But here's the argument I always say. Their arguments are bricks and mortar can do more for their customers. Run that one by me again. I want you at 2 a.m. to bob onto the group. And then I want you to go down your LFS. Oh, wait a second, you can't. I'm not saying LFS should be open all day round. I mean, Tori does actually like to go home and see her child and her other half and things like that. But what I am saying is you can't say online, or us in particular as online, aren't helping people. Think of how many big stores we spend our time mopping up after. And that's the reality. So anyway, I got talking to a few wholesalers who just basically stuck their nose up and went, oh, we don't deal with online only. To which I pointed out, so if you buy off eBay, there's probably you're going to be buying off one firm. Anyone in the trade knows which firm that is. And they sell the largest amount of online dry goods. No fish, just dry goods. They undercut everybody. They've got a tiny, tiny, tiny little shop. It's just like a front. Technically, they've got bricks and mortar. They sell hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of turnover. Hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of turnover. And they are stocked by all the big wholesalers. And my argument, yeah, they are on Amazon. They've also got their own website and stuff like that. Yeah, there's another thing. If you go to light industrial, you might not get supplied. What? So, sorry guys, mini rants. There's a few of them coming out tonight, but here it is. Fish keeping is stuck in the past, and it's dangerously stuck in the past. This is, I'll tell you the admin room, Tom. This is the only hobby we've got. This is our hobby. And I hate to say it, us at the hobby end, as in the people who are keeping the fish, and it is our passion, and we are the ones buying the tanks and the fish food. We're important. So what they are now saying is, the bulk of them, the old-fashioned ones, you've got to be a bricks and mortar, and they literally mean bricks. They don't mean, as Tori said, light industrial. They certainly don't mean online. They don't mean slightly out of town. But there's a little high street just up the road from me. Tiny, tiny little high street. There is a shop on the corner that I could have, I think it's about 400 a month. It's not huge. That is tiny. Okay? So if I go and rent that at 400 a month, open 2 days a week, pick random 2 days a week that I want to open, I can now get an account with anybody I like. Okay, they'll all come out, they'll give me credit, they'll do everything. They will jump through hoops for me. I can then sell it online if I want to. And there is a huge number of online shops that's all they're doing. They've got a tiny little bricks and mortar front and a big online presence. And I'm sorry, I called them out, a few of them out on that one. I said to one guy, he said, "Oh, we don't supply online." I said, "Well, how come the big firms got it?" And he looked at me for a minute and he went, "Well, give me a call next week." So it was that sort of thing. But the wholesalers are pushing the entire hobby towards Maidenhead and pets at home. My Maidenhead is great. We know that some of them out there aren't. Some pets at home are great, some aren't. But here's the reality, guys. Every other wholesaler in the pet industry doesn't give a rat's. Seriously, I can order whatever I like for dogs, for cats, for horses. Okay? Don't have to have a pet shop license because I don't sell animals. And that's my crucial thing. Don't see why I should have to have a pet shop license when I don't sell sodding animals. They're pushing it that way, and they're pushing it online by saying, well, hold on, people who are moving with the times. So Tori's, the shop that Tori works for was at one point knocking around the idea of moving slightly out of town. Because they're right now, you're pretty much on the seafront at Bognor Regis, aren't you, Tori? They were going to move slightly out of town. They were going to be in light industrial. So what would that have meant for the customer? First of all, they don't have to drive into a town that can get quite busy at rush hour. Secondly, there's plenty of parking. Thirdly, it can, because it's a bigger shop, there's more things that can be offered. I've always said, if I ever open a shop, it's going to be a big giant warehouse not far off the motorway. And why do I want a giant warehouse? Because I actually want a space in the middle where people can sit down and natter, and we can do talks, and clubs can use it, and all this side of things. Do you want to know the problem with that? None of the wholesalers would supply me. How ridiculous is that? And what are their excuses? The reason is because they're stuck in the past. But what are their excuses? Because bricks and mortar can educate the customer. And you're like, how do you mean? How does bricks and mortar educate the customer more than anyone else? Okay? I will totally agree eBay isn't giving customers good service. Not eBay, I mean like the people. They're not explaining fish to them. I will totally agree that I am not going to get a good service, as in someone's going to explain how it works off Amazon. But I don't see why someone in light industrial is going to be able to educate me less than someone in a bricks and mortar. Yeah. So Browan saying here LFS just upgraded their shop so they now have parking for customers and even seating so that you can sit with the staff and talk to them about your ideas for tank, etc. Yeah, I love my LFS for that. And it's not just because every time I turn up they can make me a cup of tea. But they are great from that point of view. In that you can go in. And that was what annoyed me a little bit about Aqua. I love it. I love going to Aqua. I'm probably never go. As long as Aqua's going, you'll probably find me going there. I love meeting people in real life. It can be a bit, I talk to a lot of people online and like email and Facebook and, you know, their profile picture might not actually be a human. So it's nice to actually put features to the things, you know, and look at them and go, you're not a cat. Yeah, ours has got a coffee machine as well. However, if you just ask nicely, they'll make you a cup of tea. Much better. So it's one of those things where I think fish keeping needs to move rather rapidly into this century. I think sending fish it's never my thing. I would prefer that sending fish or buying fish for what the hell just happened there to my phone? Am I about to die? Ah, for fuck's sake. What the hell happened there?